Hey everybody. Hey everybody, it's time for another it's time for the first time since late 2022. It's time for the first review intro. This time as the Douglas Blair Roberts actor base persona, the Super Beta 400, the brown skin human, back at you with another Disney Channel television series and movie intro and television series for various other channels. 2020s version. This is a 2020s remake. The previous one I did ended up being way too long for the first review that I'm going to be doing with this intro, and that is the Disney Channel's newest show, Saturdays, that'll be the second part. And that will be the first video with this intro. The song will be the same, Sonic's Weekend. Even though I will be wearing my skinny jeans, real life superhero rock and roll working class look number 2, my skinny jeans sweatsuit with zipper, gloves, and shades. This will be reviewed as Douglas Blair Roberts, the actor. Because as much as I badly wanted to do make this a real life superhero review, I can't, because other than a couple of comic book and cartoon graphics, there is nothing super. There is in the cool, colorful outfits that they have. There is nothing superhero about this television series. So as such, it cannot be a real life superhero review. So with that being said, let's make my grand entrance and let's get started with Disney Channel's Saturdays, the first review with this intro. So people, it's now time for my late, out-of-date, off-camera Season 1 webcam review and overview of Season 1 of Pretty Freakin' Scary, one of Disney Channel's newest premiering shows that premiered summer of this year and aired throughout the summer and finished this run up in, I think, either late August or early September. I can't remember. Yeah, this is Pretty Freakin' Scary. As soon as I start the video, the first episode, which is available for free on YouTube, along with the Season 1 finale, they will play in the background. One of the only places you can watch this show that I found online is Disney Now. I don't remember the other website that I found, but that website didn't have all the episodes either. The only episode I know you can watch this online is is Disney Channel's website, Disney Now, or if you have the Disney Plus app on on your um on your television set. And the show right now is reruns at various time slots. The time slot I'm familiar with is 11 o'clock on Tuesday nights. And I know they have a Saturday night time slot too, which is somewhere in the noon or evening. Either a Saturday or Sunday. I think it's Sunday. Yeah, you have to turn on your television and look for yourself on your remote and look through the TV guide with your remote. But yeah. Also, this is the Douglas Blair Roberts YouTube social media personality actor based version to see the even larger, more in-depth real-life superhero version, even though both of these will probably be the same in length. Real-life superhero version, the link will be in the description box below, which is the only difference between this is the real-life superhero version is usually longer, and it's me, once again, as always, on camera, and has a bunch of other stuff to make the video more exciting. Yeah, pretty freaking scary. Like I said, pretty freaking scary. I first heard about this late spring when Disney Channel's newest show, Saturdays, one of my other all-time favorite channels, and one of Disney Channel's other newest shows, when that show finished its first season run in spring, this was the next big show. When I saw trailers for the show and when I read the premise, I was mixed. While I liked the premise and storyline, I didn't like the what did I oh yeah I liked the storyline premise, but I didn't like the format. This is another comic book based show, except this is supernatural horror. This is supernatural horror and comedy, and more supernatural and comedy, as there are grim scenes, but it's mostly lighthearted and childlike. But yeah, it's those genres. But it's also comic book, like Villains of Valley View, which I wonder if these two are in the same universe, because one interesting thing about this show is that the cast of Villains of Valley View, they do the Disney Channel opening one. You're watching Disney Channel bumper that airs before that said show. Yeah, the actors, I guess, because the actors and actresses here are too unknown to be they're too unknown to do the one thing themselves. Whereas the Villains crew, they're new too, but they've at least been here for like a year and a half. So yeah. But see, if this show was filmed, this show was filmed like a situation comedy. There's a laugh track, or actually I wonder if there's an audience in the background, because this show is not produced by It's a Laugh production like the others. But this show, it wants to be a supernatural comedy horror based show, but it also wants to be a laugh track heavy family situation comedy. And in my opinion, you cannot cross those two together. In my opinion, this show does a better job of crossing those two together than Villains of Valley View, but you can't cross those two to get together, because all the supernatural stuff and action sequences just look out of place and just look downright goofy in what is supposed to be a situation comedy. Then if it was filmed like a movie, all the stuff wouldn't be out of place. Then for the all the stuff wouldn't be out of place. So that's the issue I have with that format. Trying to go for a family-friendly situation comedy style with the laugh track or audience laughing in the background, with all the action, stunts, supernatural stuff, it just makes the show look downright goofy and cheesy than if it was filmed like a movie. So I was mixed. Well, one Friday when I had nothing to do, when it premiered, I caught the second episode. I caught the second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth episodes, and then I watched the first online. And I loved what I saw. I loved what I saw. The first and second episode were super awesome introductions to were super awesome introductions to the show to get me hooked to watch the rest of the series, and the series kept getting better and better and better as the series moved along. The lore and suspense kept expanding. Yeah, like I said in the short part 1 narration version, pretty freaking scary. The main basic plot is that high school student Frankie Rip of the Rip family is on top of the world. She's one of the most popular girls in school. She's dating one of the hottest guys in school, Dio, who is played by yours truly, Jackson Dollinger, who portrayed young Maxwell Reynolds in Sydney to the Max. That's another thing I loved about this show. I always wanted Jackson Dollinger to return, and him and the other cast members of Sydney to the Max and the other Disney Channel shows from the late 2010s, early 2020s. I wanted them to return to Disney Channel, and half of me got that wish. And one of them was Maxwell Reynolds, was Jackson Dollinger. He portrays the character Dio, and his character is a lot similar to his young Maxwell Reynolds character. Is an older, much more mature and nicer version than his Maxwell Reynolds characters. And I always want to see. I wanted to see Sydney to the Max season 4, where they're in high school, and this season is sort of like Maxwell is sort of like Sydney to the Max in high school. The character Dio, Jackson Dollinger's character, even has a best friend who's an Afro-American in the character Scary. I'll get to the character Scary in a minute. In the character Pretty Scary is the female Pretty. So yeah, but before I get to that, continuing with Frankie Rip, she's on top of the world. Like I said, she's one of the most popular girls in school, dating the hottest guy, and is captain of her volleyball, is co-captain of her volleyball team. All of a sudden, one day, while walking outside texting, she doesn't see a giant sewer manhole cover, and she falls into the manhole cover and dies and reawakens in the spirit world. I'm getting Yu Yu Hakusho, Bleach, and and the comic book characters Deadman and Spectre, the DC comic book characters Deadman and Spectre vibes from this plot right here. I hear it's based upon a book series, but those 4 shows and those 2 shows and comic books and comic book characters are the vibes I'm getting from this show right here. She mysteriously wakes up and she's greeted by Pretty, the Afro-American, and Scary, who both work desk jobs assisting souls to where they need to be. Pretty makes reservations by looking up the name of the person and how he or she died, and Scary recommends them to their destined place, either heaven or hell. Frankie, you know the story. Frankie tries to convince them that her life is perfect and that it's too perfect and awesome to end right away, and that they had to have been some mistake. And it turns out there's a mistake, because Frankie is not listed in the because her death was accidental. the manhole that was there, which we later learn later what the manhole was for. The manhole was meant for someone else, and we later learn who that was later on in the series. But right here, so Frankie actually died in someone's place. So since the underworld, which is what they call it, the underworld staff made a mistake. Frankie, the Grim Reaper who they call GW, the Grim Reaper sends her back to the living world. However, the Grim Reaper sends her back to the living world. However, she first makes her sign a gigantic book-like contract. Then she goes back to the living world. One of the clause in that contract is that Pretty and Scary have to be her guys. So you know the story here. Pretty and Scary have to pose as regular people and high school students and follow Frankie around wherever she goes to make sure she's safe. Next, she has to complete a series of tasks for the Grim Reaper. Which the Grim Reaper left this part out when she was explaining the clauses. She has to complete a bunch of tasks, or she will be returned to the spirit world immediately. And once she completes those tasks, Pretty and Scary will no longer be her guides. Will no longer be her guides. So that's the plot of the series. Frankie, her guides, Pretty, Scary, her snooping brother Remy, who him and a Caucasian named Carson are the co-creators of the acronym Sweaty Organization, which is a kids teenage organization dedicated to solving all mysteries in the snickering in the mysterious town they're in. That's the plot of Pretty Freakin. No, that's not the plot. I'm not finished yet. Solving all the mysteries. That's his story and the story, and together with them, new character named Nyx, who's a goth emo kid. This woman had no interest in Frankie. When she was alive, and when she dead and came back to life. When she died and came back to life, Nyx became interested in her. So Nyx became her friend, and with help from them, her newest love interest, Elric Snickering must complete a bunch of tasks over the course of season 1. That is the main plot. The Pretty Freakin' Scary. So like I said, the show is phenomenal. The show is downright hilarious. Even though, just like Villains of Valley View, there are some scenes where they try way too hard to either be funny, or this is the bigger one, they have to insert a laugh track. They have to insert laughter. They have to insert a laughter or a joke into a moment that should be serious. It should be serious. In the season 1 finale, the season 1 finale, the bad guy, sorry, was talking so long I forgot to start the episode. The bad guy in the series, the bad guy, after he escapes, the bad guy Theodore Snickering, after he escapes the good guys after he survives and evades the good guys' attack. The good guys the good guys' attack, he celebrates and does a victory dance right in the midst of battle, which the good guys did, but they gave them ample time to attack him. Again, when you're supposed to celebrate after you defeated what you call. There are a lot of moments like that where they take time out of a serious moment for a joke. So that's one of the only flaws I have. The other flaw is, this is also, once again, this is a situation comedy. This is a family-friendly situation comedy. So the show occasionally throughout the series has to take a break from the awesome supernatural stuff and lore, and focus more on everyday family life. When their everyday family life is just not that exciting after seeing all that supernatural stuff. So they have to introduce a lot of filler episodes and filler plots that do add on in time to the story, but you just really don't care. You want to see more of the supernatural. You want to see more of the supernatural stuff, and all this family stuff is just everyday filler garbage. This is the issue I had with them trying to be a supernatural horror comedy series, but also trying to be a live track heavy family friendly situation comedy sitcom.
Layla, please tell me you're over it. Oh, not over it.
Sitcom. That is one of the only flaws. Other than that, the characters are awesome. My favorites are this pretty much makes up almost the entire cast of important characters. My favorite characters are, I like all the characters with the exception of two. My favorites are Frankie Rep, pretty, scary, that's the duo, that's the trio right there, that's whose name in the title, pretty freaking scary, which is what that title is a pun on. Number four, Dio. One of my main reasons for tuning into the show when I saw Jackson Dollinger, young Maxwell Reynolds was in the show. Dio. I'm happy they kept him around as Pretty's best male friend, because Pretty of course hangs out with females. But Dio Elliott Snickering, 6 Remy and his best friend Carson. 7 Nix and 8 and 9. The bad guy, Theodore Snickering, who, despite being evil, when he and another sleazy reporter, one episode showed up, they made the plot and the lore much more interesting. So despite Theodore Snickering being a despicable character, I actually like this character because he made the plot in the show he made the plot and the storyline more interesting and more complex than mine, the ever-loving and supporting parents, who found out about all this supernatural stuff in the season 1 finale. So yeah, those are my all-time favorite and best characters in Pretty Freaking Scary. My least favorites are the Grim Reaper, and Frankie's previous friend, previous best friend, Layla, who,
Why do you need my name?
Layla. The reason I can't stand these characters, let's start off with Layla. I genuinely can't stand this character. I'm glad she's only important in the first few episodes. After the first few episodes, she is no longer important and is barely in the show. Is barely even in the show. But this character is the worst. Firstly, when she was alive, I guess for right reasons, she was jealous of Frankie because Frankie was, I guess, dating Dio, the hottest guy in school. Then, when Frankie died, she not only wasted no time in snatching Dio up, but she was just like mean to who was supposed to be her best friend. She refused to share a locker with Frankie, so Frankie had to find a new locker location. Well, actually, it was because Frankie died that Frankie was removed from the volleyball team. But she showed little to no sympathy and was like she wasn't super happy, but she was okay with Frankie being replaced. And I mentioned she quickly moved. She had no respect for Frankie and quickly moved in on Dio and became Dio's newest girlfriend, which she wanted all along. What she wanted all along. A person just died, and you just come up here. You come up here at the wrong time, trying to comfort, trying to get with Dio. Now they do make it somewhat realistic by having it where Dio confided with her because Frankie died, and Layla unfortunately was there when Frankie was there for. Layla was there for Dio when Frankie died. When Frankie died, so that's why Dio they didn't have a problem with this stuff Layla was doing. But this was just a terrible, despicable character, and every time she was on screen, she dragged the series down. Let's get to the Grim Reaper herself. Of all the iterations of the Grim Reaper I've seen, this is probably the worst depiction of the Grim Reaper. This character right here is annoying. This character right here is insufferable. She becomes better towards the end of the season 1. I felt sorry for her at the end of season 1 finale. But throughout the show, throughout the season 1, she's annoying. And what's annoying is her cockiness and arrogance. She first of all, she conned Frankie into signing a long contract without telling her about all the clauses, including the one about Frankie that if she's not able to complete all her tasks, she will have to return to the spirit world. She will have to return to the she will have to return to the spirit world. In one episode, she took Frankie's guardians away. She took Frankie's guardians away. They were restored later, but she took Pretty and Scary, her guardians, away. Then she also, I don't think she told her, she didn't tell her that Pretty and Scary would have to leave her once all the tasks were completed. I don't think she learned that until the season 1 finale. I could be wrong. So, that's the issue I have. And then she's like cocky. She's cocky. She's like, oh, we don't make mistakes out here. But yet she made 2, and technically 3. She made 2. Her first mistake, the manhole that Frankie fell under. It was meant for Theodore Snickering, who died, got struck by lightning. He got struck by lightning, didn't survive, and ended up in the underworld. He managed to escape the underworld and elude the Grim Reaper, and the Grim Reaper, instead of the Grim Reaper kept trying to set up various traps, and the Grim Reaper failed to capture him. A Grim Reaper fails to capture a soul, captures a regular human soul, and she set up the manhole that Frankie fell in. So her and Theodore Snickering are responsible for Frankie Rip's death. Yes, she likes to act like she's all perfect and in control. 2, her second mishap, and that was her second mishap. Her first mishap was her second was that, and her third, she easily got duped by her assistant Christy and Theodore Snickering, who both formed a supervillain pact to get even with the Grim Reaper. She easily got duped and had to be saved by Frankie, Pretty, Scary at the end. Then there was a fourth mishap. She allowed after 2 to 3 tries, she allowed Theodore Snickering to trick her again by Theodore Snickering throwing his own son in the way to go with Grim back to the underworld while he stays in the living world. And that's how the show ends. With Elliot Snickering trapped in the underworld and Pretty, Freakin, and Scary. Pretty, Frankie, Pretty, Scary, and Remy have to find a way to capture Theodore and rescue Elric from the underworld. So yes, and as you saw, yes, that was a phenomenal season 1 finale. I'm a little disappointed they chose to end on a cliffhanger, because just because you end on a cliffhanger doesn't mean you guarantee a season 2, especially a new season, especially in this time period where shows are just canceled left or right because they don't have the fanfare previous shows had. Now, the second one, Now, in my opinion, when it comes to shows like that, just in case it's the end, just in case it's the end of Pretty Freaking Scary, you should always wrap things up in season 1. Wrap things up in a season just in case it's over, but leave things open just in case you do all greenlight it for season 2. That's just me. But other than that, phenomenal series, man. Phenomenal series. I've talked longer than I've wanted to, and I want to save some for the real life superhero reviews. Once again, the links to that video and to watch this will be below. If I don't provide them, just ask me. And the other video you can find on my channel, including the previous short narration intro with picture version. Well, like I said, I talked longer than I wanted to. If you don't want to hear the rest of the music, turn the video off right now.
You probably need to enroll you first. Already done. I called your principal and told her she can expect 2 new foreign exchange students today.
Everyone can